Hey, it's Catherine Franke. It's Sunday, April 27th, and we're looking forward to a hearing again before the judge in Vermont next Wednesday on whether the judge will grant bail for Mohsen Madawi, the Columbia student who was taken by immigration officials during his citizenship interview a few weeks ago. Also, of course, we have Mahmoud Khalil and other students that are still being held for no good reason. And then we're, of course, hearing about children, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds deported from the U.S., some of them with really terrible health conditions without any hearing or due process. And as we're doing all this work, many of us faculty are being asked to write letters of support for our students who are being taken, and I've written several of them, and I have urged many of my colleagues to do so also. There's one thing I want us to be careful about that I'm starting to hear over and over, is this idea of certain people being innocent. They weren't convicted of anything. They weren't charged with a crime. It's not fair that they're being deported or being put in these proceedings. They didn't do anything criminal. Well, it's actually true that the government can't put people into deportation proceedings, doesn't have a history of putting people into deportation proceedings when they have been arrested for things. And many of our students were arrested, some of them found guilty of protesting, for instance. Or there are other people who are not our students who are being deported, who may have convictions in the past related to things like marijuana possession or sales. And to the extent that we're starting to make this distinction between the innocent and others, and therefore underscore that it's just all the more worse that the innocent people are being brought into this deportation regime, we're reinforcing the idea that the others maybe are more deserving of being removed. And I want us to resist that urge, that temptation to show up only or more enthusiastically for the people that we consider to be innocent, because this whole thing will certainly have an impact that is adverse for Black and brown people who have always been over-policed in this country. And so I want to urge us all to bring a kind of abolitionist lens to the way that we're doing immigrant defense, or the defense of people whose visas are being pulled or are otherwise being put into deportation proceedings, even when they have green cards. All of them deserve to be here. None of them deserve to be treated the way that they are, being punished for their speech, being denied due process, being whisked away in the dark of night. None of them do, regardless of whether they've ever been arrested, regardless of whether they have a conviction. There's a process that has to be gone through, and it's not being gone through for any of them. So please, I would urge you, just not lean so much into this idea of innocence and guilt. All right, take care.